Hey everybody, it's CJ Love. I'm here in North Houston, out in front of a property that we actually purchased just a couple of weeks ago. And I am here to move a piano and do a last minute touch-up stuff before we close this Wednesday to an end buyer, someone that actually looking to occupy the property. Now, this deal we purchased as a wholesale deal from a real estate agent within our brokerage. So fantastic referral or opportunity to network with some of our team members, and came across an opportunity where we were able to help the seller and help the agent as well. So it's been a fantastic transaction for us so far, and look forward to this week's closing. I'm going to flip the camera around and we'll walk the property, check it out, and we'll see what we're looking at and dealing with here. All right, so here's the outside of the house. We contracted this property for about 120 and as is condition, and our intention with this particular property was to buy it, remodel it, and then turn around and sell it. Well, because the area, the location, the condition of the property, we did want to go ahead and try to buy the property as is and then just sell it as is as well. And actually that's what we ended up doing. So again, we bought the property for about $120,000. We cleaned it up just a little bit. Actually, that trash that's inside of the garage there, our end buyer that's actually moving into the property had to come and do some repairs to the property to make it pass inspections and the appraisal. Backyard, dirty pool. So some of this stuff like the backyard, the landscaping, the pool, we're gonna clean up before the homeowners move in. We sold it at a fantastic price. It was a really, really good deal for us, and we wanna make sure that the home looks nice for the new buyers when they do come in. So the buyers actually ended up swapping out these floors in here. Just the floors here in this kitchen. It's a dated kitchen. It needs to be completely remodeled. There was some water damage where the dishwasher came out. But the buyers put in these floors before we even closed, which is amazing. The piano that I got to get out of here and take someplace. Beautiful property. Structurally, it's good. Just a little dated. Just a little dated. So again, as our plans were to do an entire remodel, little half bathroom. But that remodel became not necessary. Let's go check out the shower that they did after putting it on the market as is. So it's been a fantastic deal for us. Here's the updated shower that they put in here. Interesting colors. Didn't update anything else. Again, I'm sure they didn't want to put a ton of money into the property without having actually bought it just yet. It's a little risky. I'm actually surprised that they did this much work, but they did. And so far, we're clear to close, and it looks like they're going to get this deal done. So at the end of the day, I'm happy it's another transaction. Now, after I leave here and get this piano moved, get some of this stuff cleaned up, I gotta go find some more properties to buy. So if anybody is aware of any distressed homes, distressed sellers that could use some help, give us a shout, let us know. Send us a comment or a direct message on Facebook or Insta. You guys take care, stay blessed. Friends, family, I'm getting ready to do a quick deal review for one of our most recent transactions. We're wrapping up the end of the year, and I've been challenged to go through some of our recent transactions and be sure that we capture some of the goods, some of the positives, some of the wins, some of the ways that we added value to our clients, and maybe some of the items that we've learned as lessons throughout some of these transactions that we've done, and be able to carry that momentum going into 2021. So the deal that I'm getting ready to share with you is Houston, Texas. So this was a deal that we did in North Houston. We contracted back in September. And to tell you a little bit about it, this deal actually came from a real estate agent within our brokerage that we work with. This was a referral. She's out of the San Antonio office or area. She had a client in Houston that needed to relocate their belongings from Houston to Arkansas. So she contacted me while she was in town and over at the property, assisting them with some miscellaneous repairs and things that needed to be done to the property, and had me walk it to see if I might be able to come up with an offer amount that would make sense for her clients, but also her as a wholesale deal. Now, some people might ask is, how would a real estate agent wholesale a property? And then how does a wholesaler actually buy a property and then resell it without doing any work? Well, that's exactly what this deal was. And let me tell you, it was fantastic. The agent created a situation where she was able to provide a service, a moving service specifically, and help the sellers pack up, secure, move, and unload a fully furnished 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house from Houston to Arkansas. Now, that in itself is a huge challenge, so commends to her. The next thing that we did was she ended up agreeing on a price point of 105 with her sellers as a buyer. Then she turned and assigned that contract to me as the end buyer or investor at 120. Now, what I did was I looked at the deal and realized that the house needed some updating. It needed some repairs. It needed some flooring, and I'll share some photos and videos with you all, but it needed some flooring. It needed some bathroom work. So it needed a new tub. And it needed cosmetic painting and miscellaneous stuff throughout the house. So our strategy was to buy it and immediately, without doing any work, list it back on the market at a higher price to see if we can't either find an investor buyer for it or potentially an owner occupant that actually wanted to move into the property and actually get it at a discounted rate, which is huge these days because it's not a lot of inventory out there, especially at a discounted rate. So what we did was, after we bought the property, I used hard money financing to acquire it. What hard money financing is basically almost like a loan shark, but it's really attractive. It's a high interest rate loan, plus some additional fees and some out-of-pocket costs. But essentially, we got this loan, we acquired the property. I used my real estate license to put the property for market on the MLS, the multiple listing service. And the same day we got multiple offers, which was fantastic. Now, we bought it at 120. We put it on the market for 164.9, and we ended up getting probably 5 or 6 offers from individuals that wanted to occupy the home as owner occupants, roughly $10,000, almost $15,000 over our asking price. So we ended up originally contracting this deal with an owner occupant and the real estate agent at 182. After inspections, after your appraisal, again, this was not a cash buyer, so we couldn't have wholesaled this property. We did what is called a hotel. So we closed on it, we owned it, we listed it. And then in turn, after the appraisal was done and after inspections were completed, we renegotiated the price down to about 167. Now, on the HUD statement, it showed a purchase price of 170. In fact, they had to bring an additional $6,000 to the closing table in order to cash out this particular purchase, which I thought was impressive. Not only did they have to bring $6,000 at closing, but they also, in order to pass the appraisal, they needed to add a tub and make one of the bathrooms functional, which it wasn't when we bought it. The other thing was they needed to lay flooring inside of the kitchen that had been ripped up due to some water damage. So the buyer was actually willing to go inside of the house and do some work without even owning the property, and that's huge. So this particular deal made it a win for the buyer. They got some equity in a home that they now live in. It was a win for us. It was a win for the real estate agent. She was able to wholesale the deal and she provided tremendous value to all parties. And it was a win for the sellers as well. They had their home completely packed up and moved across multiple states in a very fast fashion. So that's the rundown of the deal. What made me interested in doing this type of investment strategy? Well, hoteling properties is something that we've done for a little while now. Buying low and selling high without doing any renovations. I like using this strategy, especially if we have a property that does not need significant rehab. Maybe only needs a little paint or carpet or just some cosmetic items. In this case, we had a property that was in a highly desirable area and it needed very little work, so our hotel strategy worked perfectly. Next is how did we find this deal? As we mentioned before in the description, we found this deal actually through a referral, and that's my favorite type of deals because it costs zero marketing dollars. So this referral came through our real estate brokerage. If you're not a real estate agent and you are a real estate investor, you might consider becoming a real estate agent, number one. Number two, you definitely want to network with some of the local agents in your area and let them know what you're looking for. Next question, how do we negotiate this deal? Well, because the agent that referred us the deal looked to us as the competent, confident, and effective buyer, cash buyer, we were able to give them a price range that worked for us and then left the negotiating actually to the real estate agent. That's what they do, that they're professional negotiators. And so she went back to her sellers and negotiated a price point that worked for them. And she made herself $15 as an assignment fee throughout the transaction as well, which is amazing. It's fantastic. Next is, how did I finance the deal? So I used a hard money lender to get financing for this property. We also used some of our company funds, specifically line of credit, to take care of some of the holding costs and some of the expenses throughout the transaction. How did you add value? So the value that we were able to provide, number one, was be a confident, competent cash buyer that people can rely on to give them a fair offer and help navigate the transaction to the best we can. So the reason that real estate agent called us, because we're familiar, she's worked with us in the past, and she knew that we had the ability to close. And so we worked well together and created a situation to where, again, it's a win, 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 win. Win for the seller, win for the agent, win for myself, and win for the end buyer. It's a triple win right there. Next, what was the outcome? The outcome was the win, 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 win. Not the trifecta, but the quafecta, right? That's a new word that I'm gonna have to coin. Lessons learned and some of the challenges. One of the challenges is trying to get those appraisals, right? Sometimes when you're hoteling properties and you're trying to sell it to an owner occupant, the lender on the buyer's end might have some requirements in order for them to fund the deal. So in this case, we're going through the COVID situation, right? So we actually, in fact, they had some additional requirements for the buyer to provide financially, but also they had some requirements as far as the property as well. So they wanted to do an extra termite treatment. They typically do not make repairs be completed by the buyer before closing, but in this case, it was a conventional loan, and for some reason they did require that there was termite treatment done to the property, and floors and a tub needed to be installed inside of the property before closing. Luckily, we had a very, very motivated buyer, and they got in there immediately and began taking care of some of those renovations, so they were able to close. If that was not the case, you have to be in a position to where you can make decisions quickly and efficiently. So if they were not willing to do those repairs, either we have to make a decision to come down in our price point, or we have to be willing to toss this offer out of the window and see if we can go on with our next best offer. Now, there is some risk there, but it is something to keep in mind as you're doing this type of strategy. Lastly, did you work with any vendors or contractors that you would recommend during this transaction? Number one, the title company that we used was Patent Title, and they've been fantastic, investor-friendly title company that we typically use for majority of our investor transactions.
Secondly to that, our contractor. My contractors are amazing. They're Johnny on the spot. They were able to come give us a quick estimate on removing that tub for the sellers. And in fact, it was a handicap tub that they wanted to keep intact and take out to Arkansas along with the sellers and the rest of their belongings. So my contractor was able to come in with very limited damage, take the tub out, secure it, and also get it relocated to their home in Arkansas. So my contractor, Cap Innovations, and Patent Title Company, and obviously our brokerage, Stepstone Realty, were the three contractors or vendors that we used throughout this transaction. That was not the last transaction for the year, but this is the last one I'm going to share with you for now. I hope that if you guys have any questions about the deals that we're doing or the transactions, that we've done in the past and how we're structuring them, or how we're doing them, how you might be able to get involved, please send me a message, send me a DM, comment on this post, and let's chat some more. I'd love to give you some additional information and find a way that we might be able to work with one another in the future. Take care, be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon.